It's been a bumpy year for new car games, so get comfy, digest that topical pun at your leisure, and we'll talk you through 9 magnificent driving games released in 2021. It's been a great few years for us force feedback aficionados. Sim racing hit the mainstream, new releases seem to crop up every couple of months, and arcade racers found a way to mount a serious comeback, like Hamilton after a gearbox penalty. 2021 sees more of that upwards trajectory for driving games, and we've buffed and polished 9 specimens for your attention, just the other side of this bit, where we point to the subscribe button and let you know you can catch all of our content as it lands by ringing the notification bell. Some of these games will make the most of a top-class force feedback wheel like the G923 Trueforce, and some of them you can enjoy with a simple pad layout. Anyway, let's get to them before their engines start to overheat. Forza Horizon 5 begins with a series of cars being paradropped out of planes, and ramps up the spectacle from there. Set on the biggest map the franchise has ever produced, this is racing done with a level of polish previously only seen on the bonnets of elderly Jaguar owners. Once again, the preposterous premise of a festival that's all about one person having a load of fun in squillions of cars returns, and Mexico inherits the changeable weather conditions that Britain introduced in number 4. Only this time the map's so big that several weather phenomena can be happening at once. What's more important is that the cars look more divine than in any other game. They drive in an accessible but lively fashion, and the collection will keep us all absolutely obsessed for months. We don't know who voted this clan of overexcited extreme sports bros into power, but to be honest, we're pretty glad they did, even if they say stuff like this.
That was so dope!
Riders Republic is a spiritual sequel to 2016's Steep, and it adds bikes, snowmobiles, funkies, whatever they are, and rocket wingsuits to the first game's snow sports. And no, we've checked, rocket wingsuits aren't a thing. Not yet. A patchwork of several national parks makes up the world map, which makes damn sure that every direction you look, there's a sick line daring you to go down it on something dangerous. The 64-player mass events are absolute anarchy, swapping you between disciplines in a flash, like an episode of Squid Game on Fast Forward. While at the other end of the spectrum, Zen mode lets you take in the peaceful majesty of nature and then shred it. Oh, look at it! Circuit Superstars is exactly what we pictured in our heads when we were kids rolling micro machines around with our hands. Except races aren't decided by whose mum calls them in for dinner first here. It's actually quite a detailed racing sim. No, honestly, look! See the way the tracks rubber up over time? There's loads more grip on those lines, and it's laid down by your tyres degrading, so you'll need to pit for new ones and for fuel. The isometric view takes a race or two to get your head around, especially if you're usually a cockpit cam purist, but the rewards for sticking with it are rich. Handling that rewards a deft touch and punishes overdriving and traction loss. And above all, a friendly online community where racing is hard but usually fair. It's so detailed at this point that we half expect next year's Codemasters F1 game to feature mid-interview pranks from Danny Rick and memes made about our race radio conversations. In F1 2021, we'll just have to make do with a career mode that lets you create a team from scratch, car R&D that looks like the Path of Exile upgrade tree, revamped handling with new ground downforce detail, and an entire story mode about a young driver trying to make their name. And yes, in the end, we always end up spending most of our time hot lapping and trying to beat Brandon Lee's Ghost, but whichever corner of it you explore, it always feels meaty and satisfying to drive, especially with a good force feedback wheel like the G923 Trueforce hooked up.
Plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
It's pretty rare at this point for a game to come along that changes the way you think about driving a car. But that's just the feat pulled off by this indie arcade racer meets JRPG meets 80s cartoon. The cars in Inertial Drift don't actually steer. Pushing the left stick or right prompts only the most notional change of direction, as though it's got a turning circle the size of Malta. So if you want to get around a corner, you're going to have to drift. It's this stubborn fascination on losing traction that makes it so gripping. If you catch my... actually, let's not. Some sections of track might have you drifting one way, counter-steering the other, and modulating the brake and throttle to adjust your line. Not bad for a game that looks like it first aired on CITV in 1989. Cards on the table, there's not much racing in this one. You can get in and drive the cars in Car Mechanic Simulator 2021 and even take them round a test track, but the focus here is on the nuts and bolts. And that's not a turn of phrase. It's surprisingly soothing taking apart an old hatchback and replacing its rusted up fenders with brand new ones you bought on an old beige PC in a big garage. Without the lap deltas and pit strategies to worry about, you can relax and enjoy the machinery in a different way than the genre usually allows. And there's something wonderfully meditative about that. Try changing the oil on an old hot hatch, topping up its wiper fluid, and then coming back and telling me you don't feel somehow more at peace with the universe. If isometric cameras and drifting on purpose aren't your thing, Automobilista can help with its brand of super realistic sim racing. It's the kind of game where toe-in angle matters, and you have to really watch your revs under braking. The kind of game that'll gladly send you careering into the ad boards if you don't pay it the proper respect. Yep, that's us not paying it the proper respect there. You've got racing trucks, karts, and GT cars to master, a 24-hour day-night cycle to contend with, and even variable wind speed. So just in case you were feeling cocky, a rogue gust of wind might teach you yet another lesson in humility. You win again, nature. Arcade races might have fallen out of fashion for a while, but Hot Wheels Unleashed shows how to keep the driving light and breezy in 2021, and the answer is loop-de-loops. Loads of them. In the hip modern video game column, we've got loot boxes and cards with color-coded rarity levels, online multiplayer quick races, and a season pass. And in the classic old arcade racer you discover on a Games Mag demo disc column, there's power-up enhanced driving, a simple career mode structure that showers you in events, and a purity of racing that doesn't mind if you hit the odd barrier, but rewards you for finding neater lines. Also, we're obsessed with collecting dinosaur cars and miniature school buses now. They might raise some red flags in the wind tunnel, but try and stop us using them. Riding a motorbike around a racetrack is hard. Harder than two-wheeled games have been letting on, until Milestone's MotoGP 21 turned up and blindsided us with one of the most demanding and, of course, rewarding simulators for years. Stamp on the brakes in a race car and you'll slow down. Hit both brakes hard on a MotoGP bike and you're eating gravel for dinner. There's a real art to slowing these things down, shifting your weight in good time and getting a knee down onto the apex. An art that takes tens of hours to grasp and hundreds more to really master. But the sense of rhythm and danger every time you head out onto the track, along with MotoGP, Moto2 and Moto3 classes, a career mode to rival F1 2021's, and gorgeous Unreal Engine looks, and all that makes MotoGP 21 an essential experience for anyone serious about virtual racing.
It will be really difficult for his opponents to overtake him.
And there we have it! 9 racing games from abstract drive-a-thons to forensically detailed sims, all new and improved in 2021. Let us know which racer you'll be stepping behind the wheel of first, and make sure to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video from us.